look at the history of Dubai, the commercial district of Deira holds a treasured place, being one of the Emirates' early economic engines. And talking of treasure, within its heart stands the Gold Souq, a draw for many years for tourists and traders alike. Now, ambitious plans are afoot to transform both Deira and the Gold Souq, and I'm delighted today to join by Lachlan Gyde, Executive Director, Asset Management for Ithra Dubai, to dive into the plans. Lachlan, welcome to AB Talks. Now, firstly, we're here to talk about expanding Dubai's famous Gold Souq and the wider scope within the Deira enrichment project. Let's start with the Gold Souq, because that's the iconic location. I understand its expansion involves just more than expanding the market. So give us your helicopter view of the Gold Souq expansion project.
Yeah, morning, Scott. Thanks for having me. And yeah, you're right. The Gold Souq extension is a great place to start, and it is part of a bigger project of how we're redeveloping a very iconic and a big plot of land in Deira. But yeah, the Gold Souq's a great place to start. Now, we are referring to it as the Gold Souq extension. We are just looking to give the current traders a venue or a place right next door, right across the road from the existing Gold Souq, a place to expand and extend their businesses. So the Gold Souq extension, as we call it, is a dozen buildings on a plot of land. So all over our Deira redevelopment is about 19 plots. So this one's plot 13. I guess hopefully that's lucky for some. And it consists of about 230 shops on the ground floor, and then a similar number of offices throughout it's actually 12 small buildings. So we still keep that souk feel. You walk through the alleyways. You've got shading during the day, which keeps it cool. So, and then there's also 280 residential units ranging from studios, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. So it's all about what we do. It's all about the community. So we're offering great shops. We're offering nice offices. We're also offering employees, places to come and live within that.
Right.
Plot.
How's it been? I mean, if we talk first about that, continue talking about the Gold Souq, let's look at the visitor experience first. And if you looked sort of pre-lockdown, what kind of footfall were you getting? And now, I mean, Dubai's been open a little bit of time now, thankfully due to the coronavirus, regulations and how well it's done. So what's footfall like now? And how are visitors who went previously going to feel about, what's the improved experience that Souq going to be like?
Well, the key thing for us was customer experience, and we've got many customers, but the key too we've got in this Gold Souq extension obviously is the traders, so the businessmen. So we've been speaking with them extensively over the last 5 years to make sure we put together an environment that suits their trading style, from the size of shops, the size of offices. We had extensive talks about the right number of toilets. What's the toilet number? What's the F&B number? What are the facilities? We've also linked some of the buildings above street level by bridges. And that's for security. So when someone's carrying their bag of diamonds, they don't have to come to the ground floor, walk through the general public. That business can be done at a higher level. So it's
a common problem I face all the time, I have to say.
Yeah, we've had some interesting discussions. Look, one of the best discussions we had was a discussion about how much weight the floor in the office needs to be, because a lot of the wholesale traders have their own safes, and within those safes they have what we found out to be quite a substantial amounts of gold, and obviously gold is heavy. So we ended up having to re-strengthen some of our floors through the whole process. So we have worked extensively with the traders, and obviously the other customer that we deal with a lot is the shopper. And once again, a lot of the toilets, a lot of the F&B, a lot of the amenities that are missing in the existing Gold Souq, we've tried to put into the extension, and not just for us, but also for that whole souk area of Deira. So we've listened to our customers, and going back, we've been involved in Deira for many years, because one of our existing properties is the waterfront market, the new version of the fish market. So we know the customer, we know what people want. But so I think we've got a good feel for what the customer wants, and we've been able to try and replicate that in what you will see on the ground. From a trading through COVID period, the Gold Souq extension is not actually open yet. We're looking to open it during this quarter. So you'll start to see some of the shops opening from sort of now onwards to the end of the year. So we weren't affected per se from a shopping point of view, but we were affected by a lot of the traders just hesitating. When COVID hit us in early to mid last year, a lot of the deals that we had on the table were just pulled back, and people said, "Hey, don't talk to me, let me wait." So we've been affected from a sense of view where we've been delayed in actually putting the shops in and opening. And maybe that was a good idea, because we saw it, the Christmas period, trade came back, the tourists came back, the market picked up, the general view of everybody went from very negative to very, very positive, and it stayed that way. And then with Expo coming very, very soon, I think 60 days, if I'm counting right, or thereabouts. With Expo coming, I think that's another nice positive impact which we'll see. So yeah, all in all, we saw a bit of a delay. But like when COVID was in its, with us initially, that whole area was locked down. So the poor old traders down there really suffered. They couldn't even access their shops because.
I was going to say, I mean, these guys must be the beating heart of the Souq. So how did you support them during that time?
Oh, look, there's a lot of, we were a shoulder to cry on initially. We got great relationships through the Golden Jewellery Council, through Dubai Exports. We've also speaking to a lot of the big traders. We know them all just through being involved with them and listening. So yeah, there are a lot of phone calls with guys saying, "Look, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Times are tough. Let's put it on hold." And we'll go, "Fine, we're with you. Let's see where we end up. We support you." And we had we delayed a lot of our leases. So people that were meant to start fitting out when times were bad, we said, "Hey, let's hold on. It's not going to help anyone if we push you into a deal. Let's just see where we land." And as I said, the latter part of 2020, the early part of this year, tourists came back, business started picking up again, and the general attitude improved. And then obviously we started talking again, going, "Hey, where do you see your business going?" And a number of the operators wanted to reduce the sizes of their shops. Some wanted to expand. So again, we've just tried to be flexible, working with these guys to make sure we get a win-win situation. Because the other thing is that you see it at Deira as a whole, but definitely the Gold Souq extension, is because it's one landlord. So the Ithra business model is to build and lease. So for us, it's not a do the deal, then sell, and we walk away. For us, it's like, hey, what we tell you today, we're going to live with in 5 years' time, and hopefully we're still in a business relationship in 10 years. So I think for us, it was important that we got off on the right foot, and we built those relationships strongly initially, and I think we've done that. So hopefully when we do open, which will be in the next few months, and we'll be fully operational by the end of the year, hopefully those relationships pay off, and you do see a great precinct.
Give me a sense of the sentiment looking at Q3 and Q4. You touched there upon about the expo coming. How are the traders feeling? Like, what's the vibe on the shop floor, shall we say? Are people looking at Q3, Q4, and maybe Q1 next year and going, yeah, if last Christmas was last December was anything to go by, we're looking forward to the upcoming months?
Yeah, look, bear in mind that the gold traders are entrepreneurs. They've been at their business a long time. They're businessmen through and through, We've got a great relationship, but don't by any means think they're easy to deal with. They're some of the best negotiators we've ever come across, and they have to be. But so I think it's
I never feel like I come out the winner in a deal when I walk into that place, I have to say.
No, well, they make you, you walk out thinking great, then you go, hang on, but no, they are very good at their job. And it goes to show, like Dubai is the center of gold, and these guys, as you said, are the beating heart of that industry. And it's actually a polar opposite. I think as business gets better, they try and talk it down, and when business is bad, they try and talk it up. So it's the nature of the game. But no, look, the sentiment's positive, and we're seeing it through companies. We've got, I think we've got 250 companies fitting out at the moment. So, a gold trader is not going to spend money on fitting it out, going into a long-term lease, fitting out a shop, employing staff, buying their stock. That's very expensive if they didn't think there was some upside. But if I can dial back to 2019 when the expo was coming in 2020, and again, there was an excitement in the air then. A few things changed. It got delayed a year, but once again, people are looking towards the expo coming because they do see that as being a bit of a boom for business, especially gold and jewelry, and that part of Dubai. I think people still see gold and jewelry coming out of Deira.
I was going to ask you about that. Particularly with 2020, Obviously, there's been a lot of volatility around the world, and there's a big flight to assets that are a stable store of value. So, I mean, how important is gold to Dubai's story? Um, and tell us a little bit more about the best deal in the world for gold and how the Souq differentiates itself, because obviously there are many places where people can buy gold around the world. What makes Dubai so special?
Oh, look, in answering that, I'll take a bit of a different route. I'm just a simple property guy. I'm not, I'm not in the financial markets or a commodities expert. But if you look at gold, if you look at that business, the gold and jewelry business in Dubai, I think they were diving for diamonds thousands of years ago. So it's just grown up. It's grown into an industry, supported a lot by the government. Dubai Exports are very strong. The Dubai and Gold and Jewelry Group, also are very strong at, promoting the business. And I think it's historically, that's an industry which has been with Dubai for a long, long time. It's been very important. I think if you look at the numbers, something like 10, 15% of all business activity in Dubai comes out of that Souq area. Wow. So it's a big business, and it's a big generator of, I guess, profits and wealth and for the country. But also there's
nothing wrong with wealth.
Yeah, true. But obviously for the traders, but for the people around it, it generates a lot of jobs. It's economically, it's very positive for the country. But then also, historically for people, especially, the Emiratis, the Indians, it's where they've gone for generations to buy the gold for celebrations, whether it's weddings or gifts or whatever. It's a natural draw. And then from a tourist point of view, you do get good deals, I guess I'd say, but you do get good deals. And, tourists that like to haggle and negotiate and also buy a very nice piece of jewelry while experiencing, the old Dubai.
Yeah.
It's the place to go.
It's an experience you can't get back in to the US or the,
Yeah. And the other thing is, I think you talk about, things have changed. The retail business has changed dramatically. Like a lot of people are sitting at home with their phones now, dialing everything from groceries to T-shirts to shoes. But big ticket items, like gold and jewelry or items that you buy as a gift or something you want to treasure and keep. You still want to go and, I guess, touch and feel and negotiate.
I don't suppose you can get that kind of Souq negotiating experience via an app, really, can you? You can't. You're not steeped in the history and the culture and the.
No, Scott, not yet. But maybe there's a business avenue there, because I guess you could. But there's certain items that just don't translate well to buying online, because it is, I don't know what the word is, but it is a very unique purchase and a very special purchase. So you do want to touch and feel and see, and it's high value too. So, do you trust it coming via the post and all of that? So the Gold Souq got affected in COVID. It got affected quickly and heavily, but then I think for the same reasons that it got affected, it then bounced back very quickly, because it is a center for that business in the region. Yeah. And people have that sort of, historic connection to it. And it's also the items they sell, you need to go there. So look, I think the future's looking pretty rosy. Nothing's a given, but as I said, the guys are businessmen, we're working pretty closely. So we're learning every day as well. We've got insights into how that business works. And through that insight, we could go, maybe we need to bring this into our development or that into our development. So it's been a nice partnership.
It never seems to go out of fashion, gold, does it? Whether it be from a fashion point of view or from an investment point of view. You talked about the 15%, which is an impressive figure. Actually, it's an interesting figure. The remit of the GSA, is it purely about gold, or is it about expanding the Souq to become more of a hub for all types of different kinds of trade? Is it purely about gold, or is it a more retail or richer experience that you're aiming for?
The richer experience will come throughout the whole development across the whole 19 plots, and that's been master planned, and there's ideas behind it, and there's retail concepts, and there's office concepts, and there's business concepts, and there's residential concepts. So that overall something for everyone goes across the whole plot. But what we refer to as plot 13, the Gold Souq extension, pretty much is solely for the gold and jewelry industry. But that's not saying everybody sells gold and jewelry. You have people in there that do the packaging, you have couriers, you also have money exchanges,
Yeah.
banks, you need places to stop and get a coffee. You might want to sit down for lunch. So fundamentally, it is golden jewelry, but with ancillary supporting uses.
Well, I mean, we've got the new 2040 plan, which outlines a roadmap moving forward for Dubai. Commerce and tourism are very much part of that. How does that, help, shall we say, the Gold Souq's plans moving forward? But I think it's also an opportunity because you were there talking about the wider plan. Tell us more about the Deira enrichment project and
well,
what that has in store.
The 2040 master plan obviously is another one of these great initiatives that comes out of Dubai. That when you kind of think what can they do next, they surprise you with something, and it really does. It's really a roadmap for Dubai's future. It's looking at what happens in the next 2 decades, and a lot of what's in that plan is around sustainable living, connectivity, creating communities, and I'd like to think what we're doing at Deira as a whole is all about that. Even if you just have a look at the development, it's, we could have built a lot higher and a lot denser, but we wanted to make sure that it maintained the fabric of the area. So, if the development extends from the Grand Hyatt, all the way into the souk, and we started, I think, 18 levels, and then as the urban fabric dips down, so do we. So by the time you get to the Gold Souq extension, you're looking at 5-6 levels. There's lots of space. We've got parks. We've even put green spaces on top of some of the multi-story car parks. We've tried to look at not only what's good for us, but what's good for the area. So we've introduced 8,000 car parks. So Deira, you can't find a park. We've got 8,000 car parks. So every resident, every shop, every office gets parking. Plus we've got, I think, 2,500 car parks just for the general public in multi-story car park facilities. As we'll come back to the toilets, but lots of public toilets. We're looking at putting something in for the residents, something in for tourists. You've got the Gold Souq extension. We're putting in a 850-seat cinema. Wow. So again, we're trying to get those leisure activities to come in, and off the back of a cinema, you get F&B and you get other lifestyle retailers.
So if I looked at Deira sort of last year or even now, and then I look at Deira when the enrichment project has completed its work, is that going to be a truly transformational project in its scope? And are you trying to make Deira, let's face it, waterfront property and waterfront locations within Dubai are in a premium anyway. Are you trying to create this desirable location in this very historic part of Dubai?
Look, I guess that's one way of putting it. Yeah, look, what we've done in Deira, I think, really is transformational. But for us, it was just the next stage of Deira's evolution. Everyone talks about new Deira, old Deira. We just see it as Deira, and sure, some of the buildings and facilities in Deira are a bit dated, but you talk about urban redevelopment, urban regeneration. So I think what we're doing is exactly that. It was a brownfield site. Actually, interesting story. Part of the site was the old fish market, which our current CEO, Issam Galadari, built. I'm probably aging him here, but like 30 years ago. And when he built it, it was like, build it for 2 years and we'll find a facility for it. 30 years later, it moved. But so Issam has had a connection with this site for several decades. He's still a very young man, several decades. But and like we understood the site, we understood the area, and I think what we're doing is it's a brilliant development. It really is. It is great, but it's also going to be a catalyst because the other landlords and the other building owners around us will go, hey, there is opportunity in Deira. I think when we first planned Deira, people kind of went, you're putting that quality of building into Deira? What are you thinking? And we went, no, everybody's got a right to live nicely, live with their families, have access to parks, swimming pools, shops, a safe environment. And obviously at the key, and I know the word's repeated a lot, but, one thing we do try at Ithra is we really try and create that community. We really try and get people together. And, to me, where I see it, this sort of thing is, if you go to, I don't know if you've been to Tokyo, but in Tokyo, it's generally, once you get outside the CBD, it's very low rise. You've got good access to public transport. You really can live your life on a bicycle. It's very sustainable. You live here, you come down, you work over here, you go to dinner there, you shop here. So it really is trying to bring people together. You meet friends and you come together with your family, and that's one of the reasons, we've got some 4-bedroom apartments, and we're finding that they might not be big enough. So we're actually looking at, do we need to do 5-bedroom apartments so that extended nuclear family can come together? Yeah. So sorry, that was a long-winded answer, but back to your question. I think it is a great development that we're doing. I think, so before I started with Ithra, a lot of insight was shown, but I do also see it as being a catalyst for things changing in the future. And I wouldn't say the modernisation of Deira, but definitely, people will start to see that Deira is, it's evolving.
I mean, I guess there's a responsibility that comes with taking a project like this, though, isn't it? Because it is a historic part of Dubai, and it does have, a sense of heritage, one of the early places of Dubai. I mean, I guess having a CEO that's been connected to the site for more than 3 decades, being incredibly young as he is, does that help you when you kind of go, right, yeah, we want to take it to the next level, but we want to respect the past, we want to respect the heritage, and actually bring that and accentuate that as part of the development, shall we say?
Yeah, it's got absolutely. I think Ithra's mandate, Ithra means to enrich, and I think Ithra was the right company. We're 100% owned by ICD. And if you look at the team, there's some great experience. It's quite entrepreneurial, but our mandate is respect what we've got, create the communities and really try and enrich the lives of the people which will live in our property. So call it lucky, call it planned, but I think Ithra was the right developer. We do have to make a profit. We're not running this at a loss, but we did have the flexibility to look at it really hard and go, like, what is the right balance for the area, for this development, and that's what we do. And we've done that in other developments. I talk about the waterfront market. That was a real labour of love. We've had that for, we had that property for almost 2-3 years before we turned to profit. But the key thing wasn't so much making money down there. It was like, we are actually supporting the fishing industry of Dubai. We have to make sure that it's not just Dubai. Actually, we put fish right across the region. So during COVID, when we got shut down, people started saying, "Hey, there's no fish." And we went, "Yeah, you've got to let us have our nightly auction. We do 100 tons of fish." So once again, we were the right company for waterfront market, because we understood that why the bottom line was important, because we all want to get paid and keep our jobs. There's a bit of a bigger picture at play, and the bigger picture is, let's look forward to the future of Dubai, and we can have input into that as well.
What do you want the legacy of the DEP to be in terms of Deira? If we look at commerce, tourism, and communities, what would you say its legacy can be?
Well, that's a great question. I know a lot of people, like to look at properties and see what is the legacy. Like for me, I probably look at it a bit of a different way. The legacy for me is that we will have kids riding their bicycles around our squares. We will have businessmen that come in and are successful. We will create that community. So for me, it's look, the property is a great property, but it's the people that come into the property. It achieves what we set out for it to achieve. That connectivity. We're trying to be sustainable. We're trying to bring a service to Deira that's possibly not there, as you talked about, the evolution and the uplifting. Yeah. So for me, it's just people come there and they enjoy the property. If we can do that, I think we've achieved our goal. I mean, there's obviously lofty ideals. If we look forward, it might be the catalyst for change. It might bring more business and all of that, and that's great as well. But I think for me, the thing that's lost on property is it's people. The people have to be able to use the property and enjoy using the property. And you go to one of our plots now, which is we call plot 3, and we've got a beautiful courtyard and there's a fountain, and you go there in the evening and there's kids riding their bikes and there's people playing badminton. That's the legacy. People enjoy using that facility.
If you look at the year ahead, what's exciting you the most? What are the milestones that are coming up that you're going, yeah, I'm looking forward to ticking that one off, and the public seeing it?
Are we game to think a year ahead?
It's about 5 years ahead then. When is that?
Look, we have this discussion. We have this discussion a lot internally, because as it's a big project. We're going to have it by the end of it, 850 shops. Probably 1,000 offices. We're going to have 2,195 apartments, and it's all going to be delivered within a period of about 18 months. So. Yeah. We have this discussion internally, and as I said, we lease everything, we don't sell. And at the moment the sales market's going very well, but the leasing's still a bit tough, but especially around general retail and the office. So we have this discussion: how do we lease faster? How do we do this? But I think, you know, my experience, somehow I always find myself in difficult properties. But I think the key thing for us over the next year is, you know, the team knows how to manage a property. We know how to lease a property. We know about tenancy mix. We know about customer service. We know about customer journey. So the key thing for us in the next year is just to keep doing what we're doing. And, you know, if you go down there today, it all looks a bit empty, but, you know, come 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, when we've leased a bit more, some more businesses are open, the Gold Souq extension's up and running, you know, we will evolve. We're on that path from a big, it's a suburb. A suburb has been handed to us. Now we have to make it into a community. So that path, you know, it can be difficult. There's lots of obstacles, but, you know, I think the team, we just keep doing what we're doing. And we've got kind of a saying in the team, you know, like, every day, let's just get a little bit better at what we do, you know, and let's do what we do a little bit better. And I think that's the key. So for us, it'll be business as usual as we move towards, you know, increasing the occupancy, delivering on our tenancy mix, delivering on our promises of connectivity and community and, you know, inclusiveness and all of that. So
how much is it? How much of this project being in Dubai has that actually been an advantage? Because we look around the world, you know, we look at UK finally just coming out of lockdown measures. We look at Europe has struggled with lockdowns. You know, Dubai took very swift action and has actually reopened really, really quickly. So has that helped you get through coronavirus and the fact that just Dubai has been open and operating months ahead of other places?
Yeah, look, 100%. Look, Dubai's, you know, they've really kind of made some decisions and gone for it. And at the time, you might go, well, was that the right decision? But where we stand today, you know, Dubai's in a really good position. We've got tourists back. You know, COVID numbers are going down, so it's being managed. The vaccination rates are high. They're amongst the highest in the world. You know, so you know, they kind of just go, this is the pathway. We've made a decision. And I'm not saying they stick to it. If they, you know, oh, this is not right, correct it. But no, 100%. I think the decisions Dubai as the Dubai government and the Dubai as a country have made and followed and embraced, yeah, 100%. It's really helped us. I mean, I'm Australian. You just got to look at what's happening. Sydney had 15 cases and they locked it down, and then they had 50 in Melbourne and Brisbane on lockdown. So they've taken a different route, rightly or wrongly. But, you know, from where I stand today, I think, and COVID was devastating. You know, like, you know, when it first hit us, you know, like, remember when we had the lockdown? It was, you know, everyone kind of, I say not panic, but it was a knee-jerk situation. We went into lockdown very quickly, went into quarantine very quickly. So, you know, we shut some of our properties down, just turned the lights off, you know, so they weren't operating. So it was a very tough environment, but, you know, that was probably 15 months ago. So we've come a long way since then. And I wouldn't like to say it's business as usual, but we are seeing numbers coming out of our properties that are very close to where they were pre-COVID. Obviously, we're operating under different circumstances. You know, we're still being very careful. We are still seeing some COVID cases, but we're managing those much better amongst our staff. So it's unfortunate.
Every company is the same, isn't it?
So yeah, the government's done a great job. And the other thing is, you know, the maturity of the market over here. Everyone kind of went, oh, we've got an issue. How do we get through it? And you saw, you know, infrared cameras, masks, gloves, sanitizers, distancing, you know, that just became the norm, and people adjusted to it, and it's worked, you know, it's worked. And I think while business is still suffering and not everybody's happy, it could have been a lot worse.
Right. Yeah. So final question, I bump into you into the elevator and you go, oh yeah, I'm Lachlan, I'm with the DEP and the Gold Souq extension. Give me your 60-second sales pitch for the project.
You put me on the spot here. This is where my young CEO is definitely going to be watching. Look, I guess, the thing about Deira is, you know, it started off really as let's try and evolve Deira, but it's expanded a lot more. You know, we are seeing people move in from other parts of Dubai are coming in. But the key thing for Deira is its connectivity. We've got 2 metro stations. Yeah. We've got 8,000 car parks, so it's very livable. We've got apartments from small studios to big 4-bedders. So it's everything from the individual to the family. You know, it's evolving, it's changing, and I think at the end of the day, you're going to have a development that will win global awards for design and management. But I think more importantly, as we are attracting people that are coming there and they're enjoying the project, and then that, you know, a lot of our new tenants that are coming in are actually from referral. So you've got existing tenants referring. So I think all that's very, very positive for creating a community. You know, we're near hospitals, we've got supermarkets, we've got clinics, we've got shops, we've got restaurants. It's all going to be there in a mixed use development, which is kind of got something for everyone. So to be honest, Scott, the best selling point for Deira is come and have a look, because anyone that's never been there, their first response is, wow, I don't believe I'm in Deira. Like, we've got infinity pools on the 18th level, looking out across the water, looking across the Deira Island, and looking back into Burj Khalifa views. So it's one of those things you just got to go, look, you're not going to appreciate it.
It is an area that's got an incredible view back across Dubai, isn't it?
We've got beautiful water views, we've got beautiful city views, but if we met in an elevator, I'd go, just give me half an hour, I'll take you down there, have a look, because you will walk away amazed.
Lachlan, thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed the conversation. Next time we chat, I want you to give me the secrets of how to negotiate with those gold traders so I get a better deal. But thank you very much for your time.
I'm not sure I know that, but anyway, it's got absolute pleasure. You know, thank you for taking the time and letting us talk about Deira. It's one of those projects, you know, you can't love it and live it. You know, you must love it and live it to be able to deliver it. And I think the whole team does. So I don't know if you've seen it, but if you haven't seen it, please come down and have a look.
I'm very, very tempted now, very tempted. Lachlan, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, Scott. Take care. Thank you.